Hi, I'm Roamy. Today I'm going to show you how to use the Tula Explore 2.0 to carry a newborn with two different methods of doing it up. So the Tula Explore 2.0 came out at the beginning of 2025 and it's essentially just a revamped version of the previous version. So it does up in exactly the same way as the previous Tula Explore. It just looks slightly different on the front. So you can watch this video for either version of the Tula. It's just if you've got the older version, it will look slightly different. So this is the Tula Explore and you'll see it's got a sleep hood on here. Now for a newborn, you generally don't need the sleep hood. It tends to be most useful once little one has full head control and has arms over the top, and then their head can sometimes go backwards when they fall asleep. So I generally take it off for newborns just because you really don't need it on there. So what you're going to do is undo the poppers on the inside of the straps. I'll show you better on this side, which is still done up. So you look on the inside here, you've got the hood and you can see there's a little popper that attaches it on. So just undo that popper, thread the hood through, and then put the hood somewhere safe. So I tend to suggest people keep it in the box because then when you do need it, you know where to find it. So that's the hood taken off, which makes it all look a little bit neater and easier to use. So the first things you're going to need to do, when you get this out of the box, you will likely find that the width of the carrier is on the widest setting. So what you're going to do is, if you look here, this is the waistband, and you've got this piece and you've got some webbing. So you're going to open this up. It'll be in this position with your one if it's new. So you're going to open this up, undo the two poppers, slide it across to the middle and do it up on the narrowest popper. So it looks like this. So I'll just see if I can show you what it looks like when I open it up. So if you look in here, you've got a number of poppers. So you want it to be on the narrowest setting. So just the popper on the outside edge of this panel done up to the narrowest one across here. So this will make it nice and narrow when baby's little. As they get bigger, obviously we can make it wider. So we've made the panel narrower, and I'll show you from the front so you can see what it looks like from the front. So you've got your waistband here with a little pocket, and this is on the narrowest setting. So that's the first thing to do. You're then going to undo all your clips. So when it comes in the box, all the clips are done up. So undo the one here. This is the one that's on the shoulder straps. You just undo that, and you want to tighten that one up. So it does depend on how broad you are, but for a lot of people, you'll need to have it pretty much on the tightest setting. If you've got quite broad shoulders, you might want it slightly looser, but we can always loosen it once you put it over your shoulders. But make sure it's not fully extended like this, if I can lift it. Make sure it's not really long here because otherwise the straps will sit too wide on your shoulders. So for me, I'm going to have it on the tightest setting by tightening that up. Now the final thing to do is you've got lots of bits of webbing here, which will all be tidied away like this when you get it out. So you've got elastic tidying them away. So all you're going to do is just lift the elastic off so it all unravels. So you're going to want to do that on both the shoulder straps and also on the waistband. So then you end up with a nice long waistband. You also, depending on which one it is, sometimes these lumbar supports are threaded on. Other times they're attached via a little plastic tag. So if yours is attached to the strap by a plastic tag, take it off from there, and then you're going to slide it through on the clip here. So you want to put it through, so when you're looking at the front of the panel like that, you can see the Tula tag like that on the outside. So the back side looks like that, and then the outside looks like that. And then inside here, you've got little poppers just to hold it around the strap. Now this is an optional extra, the lumbar support. If you're quite petite, you may find you don't need it, or that it makes the waistband too big, so you can take it off if you need to, but it's there to add a little bit of lower back support if you do want it. So we've unravelled all of the straps, we've got the lumbar support on, we've made the panel narrower, and the only final thing we're going to do is just have a look at how long the shoulder straps are. Now again, it will depend on your build as to how long they need to be, but just make sure they're not sort of fully extended. You want a reasonable amount of this hanging down. If you want to just try, just pop these over your shoulders now, like that, and make sure you've got enough space to put your baby in. So just sort of pull that forward and just check. If it's looking massive, just tighten these up a little bit, because that then means you won't have tons to do once you put baby in. So this is now all set up, so we're going to start putting it on. Now the Tula Explore generally fits best for the first sort of 2.5 years, so obviously it grows in width and in height. I'm showing you with a newborn sized doll, so we're going to be demoing it for a newborn. As baby gets bigger, you'll move the waistband lower and lower down, but for a newborn, you want it really high up like this. So for women, you want it basically right underneath your boobs. For men, you're going to want it around the rib cage. Basically, the rule of thumb is that you want baby's head to be on your upper chest, so on this part here, below your chin, on the solid part of your chest. So think about how tall baby is and how tall you are, and make sure the waistband is sat accordingly. So don't wear the waistband down here or the panel will be too low. So you bring this around and you swivel it to the front, so you've got the clip in front of you. Move the lumbar support out of the way so you can see what you're doing. Then you're going to put your hand through this little elastic loop, feed the clip through there like that, and then you're going to clip the clip into here so it goes snap. Then you're going to tighten this up in front. It's much easier pulling this in front than behind, so make sure this is right in front of you and tighten it up so it's nice and high, and you want it to be snug but not uncomfortable, so like tight like a belt. So when you breathe out, it shouldn't hurt, it shouldn't be too tight, but you want it nice and snug. So once you've got that snug, you can swivel this back around to the front. Okay, now make sure it's sitting nice and level, and again you want it nice and high. Now this panel here that we've put on the narrowest popper setting, I'm just going to squish it together because it makes it a little bit easier to bring it up between newborn legs like that. Okay, so we've got that squished together nicely on there. Now the final thing we're just going to check is we've got this clip that goes behind your neck, which I talked about how wide it was. You're just going to check that it's right at the very top of the clips for this method. So this method I'm going to show you first off is the clipping behind the neck method. The second method I'm going to show you is where you pre-clip it and pass it over your head. It's worth watching both methods so you can see what they're like, because everyone has different preferences. Some people really like clipping behind the neck. Other people find they either can't reach or they don't find it comfy. Some like passing it over the head, but some people find that they can't reach it to undo. So definitely watch both methods. Try both methods with someone there just to make sure you can undo the second method, and then work out which you like. Some people like to alternate between one and the other, some will always use one. Anyway, there's two ways and I'm going to show you both. So this is for the first method with the clipping behind the neck. So you're going to move the clips right to the very top by this little popper, and the same on here. Now if you're very, very tall, we may need to move it down a little bit, but we're going to start with it there because for most people they're going to want it at the very top. And again, as I said before, just make sure this is nice and tight across here, not really long. So we've got this hanging down here, we've squished it together, we've got the clip nice and high. We're going to pick up our baby, but first off I'm going to quickly tie up my hair because I'm going to be clipping behind my neck and otherwise I'll get my hair in it. So just quickly tie your hair out the way. I actually have scrunchies at my shop for people because so many people need to pop their hair up when they're trying out carriers. Right, hair is now out the way. So my demo doll is around a sort of 7.5 pound baby. Generally the Tula Explore fits best from about 7.5, 8 pounds. If baby's a bit smaller, it might fit okay, but it might be a little bit bulky between their legs. Now all you do is you're going to pick your baby up and give them a cuddle with their head on your upper chest, and they'll generally be in this kind of curled up position with their little knees tucked up around hip width. Now obviously my doll doesn't bend, so I have to manoeuvre it. You shouldn't need to manoeuvre your baby, you just give them a cuddle. And you want to make sure you're holding them with their head on your chest, so their bottom is slightly over this panel rather than sitting above it. You want it slightly over the panel. This will pin the panel against you rather than baby kind of going between you and the panel, and it will also mean we shorten the panel height. So the more of baby that's over the panel, the shorter the panel will go. So make sure their bottom is slightly over it. So you're going to support them with one hand, and you can use your chin to support their head. Then slide your hand above their leg and stroke this panel up over their bottom and back, so you're holding them across their shoulders with the panel. Now we want to make sure this goes no higher than their earlobe. If it's a little bit low, that's absolutely fine, because when we put these over our shoulders, it's likely to move up a little bit. If it's anywhere higher than the earlobe, then you'll need to bring the panel down, hold baby a little bit lower down, and then bring it up again, just because you want to make sure that it doesn't go higher. It's easier to bring it higher once they're in than it is to try and get it lower. So I'm going to slide that back up over their bottom and back, making sure it's no higher than their earlobe. Keep holding them across their shoulders. Their weight's taken on their bottom, so you don't need to support their bottom. And if you hold their tummy, or their back rather, it'll make them arch, and it can also mean that they might throw up a bit of milk, which you don't want to do. So if you support them across their shoulders, you're holding them so they can't slump. They are nice and supported. Put one strap over one shoulder, like that. Then hold them with the other hand, and put the other strap over the other shoulder, like this. So baby is pretty well held at this stage. Got these over my shoulders, and you can see these are fairly snug. If it's incredibly loose at this stage, just give a little tighten to bring these around, but you don't want to fully tighten these until we've done the clip behind the neck. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold one strap by baby's face and then hold the other, so you're holding them nice and snug. Slide your hands up until you find the clip behind. I'm going to turn around there. and clip that together behind your neck. So you clip that together, they're held nice and snug. Now keep holding there with one hand and then bring the other one back to their shoulders. And as you can see, I said this might move up. It's now moved up to a perfect position behind their neck. Now, first thing to do is you're going to keep holding baby across their shoulders with one hand, tighten one strap fit straight forward, and then hold them with the other hand and tighten the other. And you want to do that a little at a time until baby is held nice and secure. You want them held as tightly as if you were holding them in your arms. You can keep doing that a little at a time. Careful you don't fully tighten one before you do the other, or you'll end up one really tight and one really loose. So once they're feeling nice and secure, you can let go. If you want to check that the straps are even, pull them both forward and check they're basically the same length. This won't affect baby, but it does affect your comfort. If you do feel you've over tightened one, then you just literally lift this little plastic lug here with a finger and just pull it back to loosen it. So if, I'll just show you with mine, if I loosen them both off. So if I tighten that one like that, and this is then really, really tight under my arm, and then I can't tighten this one, so you can see that's really uneven, then just lift this plastic lug right here to bring it right the way back. Put that back on my shoulder nicely, and then I'm going to tighten a little at a time on both of them so they're nice and even. So you want these straps to sit flat on your shoulders. So I've got this tightened up nice and snug. If you're not feeling they're quite flat on your shoulders, you can either tighten it or loosen it behind you, but you want them to sit nice and flat. Now, the key checks now we've got baby in. Firstly, we've checked that this is no higher than their earlobe. If it isn't quite to their earlobe, take the top edge of the panel and give a gentle bounce. It's really easy to bring it higher. It's pretty difficult to make it lower, so you can always bring it higher if you need to. Check they've got nice clear airways, so they've got nice clear air circulation. Make sure they're as tight as a cuddle in arms. So a good way to check that if you're not sure is rest your hand on their head, just lean forward a bit and check their body doesn't come away from you. See if it does, you can tighten those forward. And then the final thing to check is check their leg positioning. So ideally you want to have their knees at hip width apart above their bottom. So it's called an M position because it's kind of got bottom, knees, legs, with the legs hanging straight down. So if baby is in that position, that's fine. If you want to adjust it, just take hold of their little knees here and give a little tilt. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring the little knees towards you. I'll show you this one like that. And then you're going to bring them round and in. So you're bringing them towards you and then you're bringing them in towards themselves. So that gives a really nice curved position. And what this does is it keeps babies' hips and legs in an ergonomic position, but it also takes any pressure off their tummy. So particularly if they've recently fed, if they've got pressure on their tummy, it's going to be uncomfortable and they're going to be squirming a bit. If you gently bring their knees up towards you and bring them round and in, it takes any pressure off their tummy and make sure they're comfortable. Now, if they do have a sleep suit on, just take the fabric by their toes and make sure you bring it away from their feet. You can feed it down from round by their thighs as well if you need to, because sometimes it can push up and put pressure on their feet, or obviously have them without any feet like I've got here. So we've done our safety checks. We can see baby's face. This is no higher than earlobe. They're nice and snug and their legs are comfy. And then obviously your comfort, just making sure these straps are fitting nicely. You want this fabric to sit smoothly against your body. Now obviously how wide this one goes behind your neck will determine how wide they sit on you. So you can play about with the tightness of that one. And obviously you can then tighten these up accordingly, but you want them to sit nice and smooth. Now we've got big long bits of webbing here, so if you want to, you can tidy these away. So what you do is you roll them up like this. I'm not going to do it fully, I'm just going to do it partly, and then you're going to take the elastic and double it back over the webbing. So the more you roll it up, the harder it'll be to be around, because obviously you've got lots of webbing there, but just bring this round to neatly tidy it up, and that just means you haven't got big long tails. You can also do the same on the waistband to get rid of any excess webbing on there. So that's how to use the Tula Explore 2.0 clipping behind the neck. I'm now going to show you another method which you might prefer if you find it hard to reach behind the neck, or if you don't like the straps coming right under your armpits. So the next method is going to have the clip much lower down. So to get baby out from this method, you're going to hold them across their shoulders like this and reach up with one hand and undo the clip. You may find it easier with one hand than the other, so try with both. Keep holding them across their shoulder, bring one strap off, hold them with the other hand and bring the other strap off. And then you're going to gently hold them on the inside and you can lift them out. So that was the first method, clipping behind the neck. The second method is going to be where we pass this over our head. Now the advantages of this method are that you don't have to do anything behind you. The disadvantages are, to get it out, you need to either be able to reach up to undo the clip, or you need to be able to reach to loosen under your armpits. So have a go with both methods, like I said, to see which one you prefer. So we put this on nice and high for a newborn. If you're not sure about that, just go back to the start of the previous one, getting this nice and high, tightened up, and then squish the middle together. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take these clips that are on the shoulder straps, and the minute I've got them right by the popper, you want to slide them right the way down to the buckle end down there. Okay, so slide that one right the way down, and then do exactly the same on the other side. So you're sliding it all the way down to the bottom of the strap. Now, just like with the clipping behind the neck, you want to make sure this is fairly snug. So I'm going to clip this together and just make sure that's pretty secure across there. We can make it wider if you need to, but most people tend to find they need it pretty much on the minimum setting there. Right, so that's clipped together. So you've literally got 2 loops with connected in the middle. Then you're going to take these shoulder straps and you're going to lift the plastic lug here and pull the bits attached to the body and just lengthen it right down. So you've got about 20 centimetres of fabric hanging down there. Do the same on the other one. So you're going to lift the plastic and pull right the way through, so you've got about 20 centimetres there. So you've got really, really long straps with just a little bit hanging down, and this means so you can actually bring it down behind you to tighten it. So this is now all set up. We're now going to pick up our baby. So just like in the previous method, you want to hold baby with their head on your upper chest, their bottom very slightly over the panel, so that the panel doesn't go too tall, and babies will generally be in this kind of curled up position. If you need to, just pop the hands up on your chest so they're nice and comfy. So again, you're curled up with the little knees tucked in towards you. You can spend a little bit of time making sure they're in a nice comfy position and giving them a cuddle before you carry on. So you're going to support baby with one hand, and again you can use your chin just to support their head. Slide your hand between their leg and the panel, and then stroke the panel up over their bottom and back so you're holding them across their shoulders. So keep holding them with one hand here, and then with the other you're going to take hold of this clip, so the one that's going across the middle, and you're going to pass that up and over your head. Put one arm through one strap, so you've got the strap on your shoulder and the webbing under your armpit. Hold baby with the other hand, put the other arm through the other bit of webbing, so this goes over your shoulder. Now just make sure these are going nicely over your shoulder, so all the loose things are all down the back here, like that. Okay, keep holding baby across their shoulder until we fully tighten this. So hold them with one hand, and you're going to reach round and find the webbing that's hanging straight down, and you're going to bring it down to the ground. Then you're going to hold baby with the other hand and do the same. Now it's really important you do this a little at a time on either side, so it ends up nice and even. So I've pulled those 2 straight to the ground. Now I'm going to reach round and I'm going to pull this down to the ground and then forward towards baby. And then the same with this one, down to the ground and then forward. So you keep doing that a little on either side until baby's held nice and secure. Again, like with the previous method, if you want to check they're nice and even, just pull them both forward and make sure they're the same length. If you need to adjust them, hold baby across their shoulders and just lift that plastic lug to loosen, whichever side you want to loosen, and then you can retighten. So make sure you do it a little at a time until they're nice and snug. So you want them as tight as if you're holding them in your arms. A good way to check is rest your hand on the back of their head, gently lean forward and make sure their body doesn't come away from you. You want to make sure you can see their face and they've got nice clear airways. Make sure this is no higher than the earlobe. If it's a little bit low, you can take the front edge of the panel and give a little bounce to bring it up, but it's much easier to bring it up higher than it is lower. If you do find baby's face is towards the strap, you can just gently put your hands inside and just shift their shoulders one way or the other. Try not to lift them, you're just moving them gently one way or the other. If you lift them, the panel will go taller. Then check their legs are comfy. So ideally you want to have their knees at around hip width apart, with their legs hanging straight down and their bottom below their knees. So if they're not quite in that position, you're going to take hold of their little thighs here. So just there, put your finger into their knee and you're going to gently lift their knees up, and then you're going to bring this around so their legs go in towards each other. So it's a lift and bring together. Bring them together. This takes any pressure off their tummy and make sure they're in a nice comfy ergonomic position with a gentle curve to their spine. If they have got a sleep suit on, just bring any fabric away from their toes, and you may need to bring it down because as you can see here, it can kind of bring the fabric up a little bit. So just make sure that's coming around nicely and there's no pressure on their feet from the fabric, or obviously have them without feet on their sleep suit. So that is basically it. You can see on your back, this fits very, very differently to having the clip behind your neck. A lot of people do find it more supportive like this because it's spreading the weight more. But the only downside I'd say with this particular carrier done up like this is how we get out of it. Now I've got really flexible arms, so I find this really easy. If your arms aren't as flexible, or if you're a bit broader, you may find it more difficult. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways we can get out of it. First way is where you reach around and you undo it like this. So you literally reach around and unclip it a bit like a bra strap. So you reach around and you unclip the clip. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to show you the other way. So that's the easiest way. You reach around and unclip, hold baby, bring one strap off one shoulder, bring the other off the other shoulder. If you find you can't reach that without straining, and definitely don't do anything that's uncomfortable, hold baby with one hand and you're going to lift that plastic lug just there and lift it here. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold this piece of webbing here that's coming into the panel, lift the clip and just pull this forward. So by lifting the clip, that means you can then pull the webbing out. So you're going to pull it through so you've just got a little bit left, but it's all loose. Obviously keep your hand around baby while doing this so they're held snug. Then do the same with the other. So you put your hand around, hold this webbing and then lift the clip and pull this forward. So lifting the clip just means you can pull the webbing through. So I've loosened both of them off. Then I'm going to bring my arm down through this piece of webbing and lift this piece up and over my head so I can take baby out. And then that one is then all set up for putting them in again. So that's exactly how we had it before we started. Obviously, if you've undone it like this, you'll need to then clip it back together and loosen the straps off to redo it again from the start. Anyway, that's 2 different ways to use the Tula Explore 2.0 to carry a newborn, clipping behind the neck and passing over the head. I hope that was really helpful. If you've got any questions, feel free to comment below, and feel free, if you like the video, to like it and share it. Thank you very much.